what do you believe the differences are between big studio productions and indie sort of film productions?
What are the differences between big film sets and the small ones? Can you narrow down the question a little bit, because there's so many facets of that?
Well, I would say in terms of how much sort of creative freedom you get to express yourself, do you find that you get more of that on a smaller film set rather than a larger one?
Having been both someone who runs like my own sets, has worked as like camera, sound runner, actor on other people's small sets, comparing that to being like a camera assistant or grunt runner, COVID marshal, whatever, you do definitely get more creativity. But at the same time, I think it kind of comes down to, you know, you've got this level of creativity. Like if you're not running your own set, but you are on a small film set, you do have a decent amount of creative freedom, because you can literally just say to the director, oh, hey, I've got this idea. And then they can kind of be like, oh, cool, or nah. If you try and do that on a big film set and you're just a grunt, you are not getting back on that film set. So, but then at the same time, people don't go on big film sets to be a grunt, to have creative freedom. I think people know not to do that. It is just a job to them. I think that's why I dislike the big film sets, because they are just this sort of, you can go past if you want, yeah. It all fits in with the theme. Have a good day, yeah? No worries, take care. So you got, I feel like that was a mess of an answer, to be honest.
No, you're fine, you're fine.
All right, did I actually answer the question in that? I think I did.
I think you did.
Basically, yes. Basically, yes.
I'm going to crop that to just basically yes. Right, so in one of your videos, or maybe even in multiple videos, you talk about how you appreciate quantity over quality.
Yeah.
I guess not just in filming, but in general things in life. And how would you say that you're implementing that into the film that you're making now? Are you just shooting absolutely everything that you can?
Yes. Yes and no. Closer to yes. I don't know, in terms of the quantity over quality thing, I feel like a hypocrite by preaching something that I don't practice. Like, I talk about it a lot because it's an ideal that I want to get to. And I think that is the best way to make stuff. But it's not the way I feel like I'm currently making stuff, it's the way I feel like I'm trying to make stuff by doing the 2 videos a day and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, when it comes to like the creative works, like I've just made an album, right? I've spent a year doing this album. That's ridiculous. It's only 7 songs. What's that, like a month and a half or more for each song? You know, like probably closer to 2 months. So, you know, and then I've done films where like they've spent 4 years in post and stuff, and all this kind of stuff forced me to reconcile with the quantity over quality thing, because it is correct. Yeah.
I was gonna say, so with your YouTube channel, do you see that sort of as an extension of the film? Because obviously it's called like Johnny Mozza, Lessons in Confidence, or is it a completely sort of separate project that you'll carry on with after the film is made as well?
That's a very good question, that one. You can keep that bit in for the edit. That way the teacher sort of goes, oh, he said that was a very good question, that. And you can keep that bit in so you can make it all meta. But yeah, I think in terms of that, it is separate. Well, do you know what it was originally meant to be? I was never meant to be doing 2 videos a day about all this inspirational stuff, right? Originally it was just gonna be like vlogs for the film. So I did the first couple that were literally just like me talking about the film in various ways. And then I did one on central London, and that kind of went well. And I realized people like the ones where I do these like really pretentious, like indie filmmaker, bloody, you know, titles, like filmmaking isn't a business, it's an art. It's like, oh, shut up. But they like it, so I just made more of them, and I'll keep making more as long as people want them, because I like seeing the little like, oh, you've really inspired me kind of things, and you know, knowing that I'm actually helping people out is really cool. It's nice, it's satisfying. I like being able to give something back. It's fun.
Nice. And is that sort of the same thing that you want people to take from the film itself? Is that the message that you want to bring with the film, all of those sort of positive things? Because I know that your character, Johnny, is kind of a, I think he described him as he's sort of like, not a liar, but he's sort of worming his way into things that he's not necessarily qualified for. And is the overall message of the film meant to be, I guess, about just trying things anyway? Like, is that the message?
Not really with that one.
Wrong way?
He does. I think actually it's kind of almost the opposite message, because he does try, but he fails. And that is the thing with trying, is you are going to fail sometimes. And I hope with these videos I'm not misleading people into thinking that you can just like go your way through life just, I'm trying not to swear, but doing stuff like that, and just you'll succeed every time. You won't. Like, I got lucky, you know, and other people get lucky, you know. It's just being picked by the YouTube algorithm. So I don't know. Johnny Mozzer, his whole thing is about the romanticization of the past, and how you need to be able to come to accept the world that you live in now, and come to peace with that. Because, you know, like, yeah, sure, if you sit and listen to Led Zeppelin and the Doors and the Sex Pistols all day, you are going to be like, ooh, the 70s was so much better, I live in the worst time, you know, and you'll get yourself down about it and you'll shut out the modern world. But, you know, look at all the great things that are going on now in terms of like the music scene, and like some of the best music's coming out now. Some amazing films are coming out. A24, like, is a really cool picture house. You've got so many, like the folk filmmaking community, and you've got so many cool things that are happening now. And then loads of stuff that I don't care about, that other people care about. So you've got so much stuff going on that, you know, that's what Johnny Mozzer is kind of about. It's about embracing the present and being satisfied with your lot, essentially.
Nice. So I was interested in the sort of music aspect, because obviously Johnny is a musician, you're a musician, you're playing the songs that came from the movie. And did the music sort of come first and then the filmmaking, or do they sort of go hand in hand with each other?
Well, I haven't written any music for the movie. I'm writing music just for, like, myself. I'm writing music about stuff that I care about. And then I just think, because I don't want Johnny Mozzer to be someone who can't play. I don't want the joke to be that he's talentless at playing, because I think that would be kind of dull. I think it will be more interesting if he is good, but he wants everyone to know it, kind of thing. Because, like, I think I've come to accept I'm all right at guitar, you know, but it's at the same time, if you do go around and are just like, yeah, I'm the best, you know, look at me, all that kind of thing, then people are going to hate you anyway, compared to someone like Oliver in the film, who is, he can't really play the bass, but he's a really nice person, so he ends up coming out on top. Despite having less technical talent, it's his niceness and likability that is what's holding him up and make people want to stick around him.
I like that. I enjoy that message. The next question I was going to ask you, and let me know if you find this very, very dull, but what is your favourite movie?
Before Sunrise.
Before Sunrise, I've never heard of it.
Yeah, Richard Linklater. Do you know Dazed and Confused, Slacker, or anything? Slacker's a really good film. But yeah, Before Sunrise, it's... Shut up. It won't actually get those anyway, really. I mean, I've done videos where I shout at the planes anyway. Right. But why Before Sunrise is one of the best movies ever made? First off, Julie Delpy and Ethan Hawke have such beautiful chemistry together. Their story is so romantic and so nice. And the best scene of it, in my opinion, it's a really dull-looking shot. It's literally just the corner of this really unset designed room. They go into a record shop and they go into the listening booth and they put on this thing. And like they're sat there, pretend like, you know, a woman is sat here, right? And we've got a bit of chemistry, but we haven't sort of said anything yet, you know? So it's kind of like a bit of this. And then she looks over. And then, you know, she looks over and I kind of look back. And then she looks over and you kind of look away again. And that's one of my favorite scenes, in just one long prolonged shot that goes on for like a minute and a half. No dialogue, no nothing, just as the music plays in the background. It's so sweet, it's so nice. It's a film I've watched probably about 10 times, and it makes me cry every single time. It's just so nice. And then Before Sunset is just as good as well. And Before Midnight is a really good film, but it's so depressing because I see them as just such a beautiful couple. It's so nice, like, you know. I'm not like a mega like romance film kind of guy, but that one, Yeah. It's good.
Nice.
It's good.
The next question I was going to ask you about then is...
It's relatable as well.
What, the movie?
No, Before Sunrise, yeah. Because it's all about the conversational aspect. Like, it's not about, like, you know, long prolonged scenes of them, like, it's all just, like, talking and just, like, getting to know each other as friends. Because that's what love is, really. It's being able to talk to someone for, like, 9 hours with no awkward breaks in the conversation or no nothing, and just feeling like you're completely in sync with one another. You know, it's not about, like, you know, the lovey-dovey sort of stuff. That's like the cherry on top. That's the icing on the cake. But you know, you can't just eat icing because you'll get sick.
Do you like realism in films then, in terms of, do you want things to be like how they are in the real world? If you're saying
yes and no.
You like that conversational thing because that's how it actually is.
Yes and no. It does depend, because, like, you know, some films can be good for, like, escapism, and, like, you know, I like some sitcoms, like Fawlty Towers isn't particularly realistic, you know, or like you know, Red Dwarf, not particularly realistic. But then I think where the realism is good is in the little personal struggles that go on. That's what attaches you to things. Like people like Wally, for instance, because they can feel a sense of humanity within him, even though he doesn't talk, and even though none of that is real in any sort of way, you know, but it also does have the message about this is what the future could possibly hold for us if we, you know, don't take good enough care of the planet. So as long as the film can make you feel connected to the world in some capacity, I think that it is good. I think that's why most fantasy films tend to try and hark to some sort of culture on planet Earth, you know, like Lord of the Rings is trying to take from like old Norse mythology and stuff like that, or Star Wars is trying to take, I don't know, I don't like Star Wars particularly, but like, yeah, I'd say it's important to me. I like films of realism, and I think everything that I like in particular has realism in it, but I wouldn't say it's necessary for like everyone. Some people might feel differently and might want, you know, escapism because they don't want to have the real world chucked back at them because they're already like, oh Jesus Christ, you know, I've got like my mortgage to pay, I'm behind on that, and like, you know, the bank's coming to take the house away, and like I'm gonna get fired, my wife's gonna leave me. It's like, you know, they maybe don't want to be reminded of that in a film, you know.
That's fair enough. What sort of advice would you give to someone who wants to make a film?
So let's say this person has no real resources. Let's go like bare minimum, right? Yeah. So Wakaliwood in Uganda, right? Like little village in Africa. Presume he's not making mad money, you know? Proper little village and all that. And the way that he did it, he had a little laptop and he had a little tiny digicam, like probably worse than what your phone is capable of doing, right? And he just went around and he would film like action scenes and have fun with with like all of his community, you know? And he would make these really insane films. And he turned that into what was fun about it. Like Who Killed Captain Alex, for instance, is so much fun because it's so balls to the wall and it's also so cheap. That film cost, I don't know how much it cost, but it's definitely not more than like a couple £100. And you know, you don't need mad budget to do stuff. And so what I would say to someone who wants to make a film is just like, stop worrying about it. Just make one that's like, who cares if it's bad, right? I'd rather you go out and make a bad film than to make no films, because imagine if everyone who made a bad film didn't bother to make a film. We would have barely anything, man. You know, like, and sometimes it's nice to watch a bad film. It's nice to laugh at it. I mean, that's why people like The Room, people like Slop, like Transformers and all that sort of stuff. Those are all bad films. They're bad in all different ways. You need bad films, you need bad entertainment so you can have the good stuff. If everything was good, then you wouldn't have the point of comparison, you know? So yeah, just make something that's, shut up. Just make something that sucks. And, you know, let all the little imperfections like that get into the film, because that's fun. At the end of the day, you can go through it if you want.
Don't worry about it.
No,
that's okay.
You have a good day, yeah. Do you want to maybe shift to another spot?
Yeah.
I feel like we've got quite a bit here.
How did you, Josh, first get into filmmaking?
Well, I was going to do game design at college with my friend because my friend was going to do it, and then I started looking into the industry. And I saw all the crunch time and all the abuse that goes on in that industry, and I thought, No, I might not do that. So I walked into the media room and signed up for that just because I thought, I need something to do. And went in and I didn't really care about it, to be honest, while I was first doing it at college. It was kind of after college when I started making my own stuff. I started off doing this really terrible YouTube channel, and then a slightly less terrible YouTube channel came afterwards, and then films came afterwards that started terribly and got better and better and better. And I kind of liked the whole bringing everyone together for a certain cause kind of thing, and just like, I don't know, like, it's fun to, you find yourself in weird situations, like the time when I found myself lying on top of a wardrobe in someone's house, just like holding a boom mic, or, you know, standing on like in a Sainsbury's car park filming a guy that's like, ooh, doing a bit of rapping and all that sort of stuff, and you're all like moving around, and like people walk past you and they wonder what they're doing. So it's, I don't know, it's cool. Yeah, yeah, it's nice. It's nice just creating stuff. I've always created stuff. I used to write books and like send them to the library and like get them to keep them in the library.
What, like your local library?
Yeah, I used to write books about, I had this one book about this couple of friends that went into space, and they were kidnapped by aliens and they needed to escape the solar system. And because my interpretation of the solar system was, you know, like the solar system planets thing where it's like Mercury, Venus, blah, blah,
like
blah.
you do when you're a kid.
Yeah, and they're all like right next to each other. So Jupiter's quite big, right? And I was like, oh, the spaceship's gonna have to really struggle to squeeze past Jupiter. So that's a whole plot point in that book. The book's gone, by the way. I'm never gonna find it again. And then just wrote dozens and dozens of books, made a world. That was cool. It was kind of like a sci-fi sort of, we colonized the entire solar system, and then we started colonizing this other planet, but that other planet had like loads of like various life forms on it that were all fighting one another. It was basically just Mass Effect, like it was a rip-off of Mass Effect basically. But on a smaller scale.
Yeah. What would you say inspires you then? If anything.
People, I'd say. Met someone pretty cool recently who has inspired me quite a lot. So started writing a song, and like when you're inspired, like it all just comes out, and so that person has caused that inspiration, and that's someone I really like. It also goes the other way, where sometimes you make a film. This is going to make me sound really like a nasty person, but sometimes you make a film almost in spite of someone, to be like, ha, see, I can do it. Yeah, you know, like my old the guy who begged me to go on the HND course, which what a total con that was. Asterisk, not my legal opinion. But yeah, he kept begging me to go on it, and everything I heard about it was just terrible. And he was one of those that, like, you know when you can't trust someone because they smell too nice? Like, they smell like godly all the time.
It's suspicious.
Like, yeah. Like, obviously I don't want someone to reek, but like, that was weird. And yeah, I didn't really trust him, so I had a big fight with him while I was talking about how he was ripping off his students. And then, yeah, I basically made my first film to say, you don't need any of what you're doing to make a film. Stop with all the nonsense that you're doing and just try this. And, you know, that's how I sort of make some films. You do something to almost spite someone, or not to spite someone, to sort of prove yourself a little bit, I'd say. You know, you're not an individual in a world full of mechanoids. You're one person in a sea of millions. So all you can do is just try and voice stuff, really, and get your own voice out there. That's it. Nice.
How many people are working on the film?
I'm gonna try and figure that out. Hang on.
Is there loads?
Hadid, Shivani, Oleg, Neve, Kimberly, John Henry, Lee Westwick, Toby, Oscar. There's more. This is why I didn't want to do the naming thing, but I've started now. There's more. Come on, think of them. Come on. Oh yeah, there's a couple editors. There's Shivani. How did I forget Shivani? Lydia. There's more.
Sorry, I have put you on the spot.
I'm struggling to name them all. There's a fair few. That
is a lot of people.
But I think what's important to note with this is that they I am emphasizing small crews. So I'm doing crews of like 3, 4, 5 people max. So while there might be a lot of people on the film, it's different people each day. So I'm working that way because you get so much more done. You can move so much more effectively if you do smaller days with less people, because it's just so much more efficient compared to if you have a group that's so large that it can splinter off into its own subgroups. That's when I feel like you're going wrong, personally. Obviously you have to do it sometimes when you've got a big scene, but yeah.
Do you feel that sort of having those small groups and having groups change every now and again, does that sort of help you creatively? Like, because obviously I imagine you're getting all of these different ideas from people, and can that alter the film? Like, are you taking everyone's
definitely
contributions?
Like, my mate Toby, he's come up with some crazy good ideas that like he came up with this one idea that I'm not going to tell you because it's coming in later in the film, and I'm also not sure if I'm going to do it yet. But like, yeah, loads of people are bringing in their own ideas, and the reason that I made sure that this was such a simple film plot-wise was so that there was room to hang all the creative ideas on. I want people to come on this because I'm not paying people, you know? So what better way of, like, well, not really what better way of paying people than to let them be creative, but, you know, I don't know, just, I want people to feel like they're giving something more than just, like, grunt work, you know? I hate the idea that people just turn up, feel like they've got no input, and then just bugger off again, you know? I don't know, I feel like that wasn't a great answer. Let me try it again. So you kind of just say, like, what was the question?
So the question was about, because you have these small crews working with you and sometimes they change around, if it's helpful because you're getting all of these different ideas, if people can contribute, and if that will therefore maybe change, you know, the film itself in some ways.
Yes, I would say, like, I really, well, some of the scenes are completely improvised for a start, and I work around the improv, and I fit improv into the script sort of thing. Like, here is some space where improv can go, and then you've got the beginning and the end, or you've got like a certain beat, like at a certain point in this improv, someone is going to get a phone call, and that kind of ends the improv and goes back into the script sort of bit, you know? Hey up.
Hello.
Come on, come here.
Hello.
So yeah, that's a piece of improv right there. But yeah, I want people to feel like they're able to engage with the film whilst they're working on it. I want people to come up with crazy shot ideas. I love when Oleg in particular, he's always coming up with some mad ideas. Every time we're about to wrap up, he's like, oh, sorry, I've just got one more idea. And he'll do that like 4 or 5 times. And I love it, because it's so, you know, it shows passion, it shows that he cares, and it shows that he's interested in what he's doing, which to me is a really positive trait. And I've seen that from many people working on this film and films in the past. I want people to feel like they've got something to add, you know? So I make sure that there's room for that. I don't go in with a complete vision. I go in with what I feel like I want, and then know that the world is going to change it. You know, if you know, you're about to go on a big night out and you have an idea of what it's going to be like, and then you go on the night out and you're really excited for it, and it turns out to be nothing like what you thought, kind of thing. Yeah. You know, maybe you leave the place you met earlier than you thought, or maybe the night went longer than it thought, or you met someone, or whatever, you know? Things don't go according to plan, so I don't establish plans, I establish just general bits, I suppose. Nice. Just make it up as you go along, really.
So you don't feel like, obviously this is your project, but you don't feel like I guess sometimes when you hear about film directors or different types of artists, they have a real personal relationship with the work, and therefore...
Well, don't get me wrong, I will shut down an idea if it runs contrary to what the film is trying to do. Like, you know, I'm not just like, you know, someone chucks in an idea that's contrary to what the film is trying to achieve. I won't take that on board. But, you know, I'll still hear it out, obviously. But yeah, you know, in terms of some directors, I feel like, I don't know, I really like the films of Kubrick, but I don't know, you look at some of the stuff that went on those sets, and I just think, look, The Shining, Clockwork Orange, it was really good, but was it worth that, you know, upset for the people that were working on it? I don't know. And I really like Clockwork Orange, it's one of my favourite films, but I don't know. You know, it's like, I suppose in a way, you know, do we all want oil somehow? You know, but we all use it. We all like our phones and our cups of tea in the morning and our radiators being on. But at the same time, we all recognise that it's kind of, there's some bad stuff going on there. So, yeah.
I'm going to do a 180. What is your favourite genre of film, if you have one?
I'd cheat the question and just say sitcoms.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Do you have a favourite sitcom?
I'm Alan Partridge. Or Fawlty Towers. One of those two. Kind of switches. And then, like, obviously The Simpsons as well. So I'd say those three. Malcolm in the Middle's good as well.
Oh, I loved Malcolm in the Middle growing up. Loved that
it's just
movie.
like, I like the light feeling. I don't particularly like the super heavy thing. I'm watching films that are really heavy and about super serious stuff, and it's like, ooh, this is depressing. And or you go the other way and you get really artsy stuff. Like I watched 2046, Wonka Wai, and I was kind of bored stiffless the entire way through it, if I've got to be honest. Like, I liked a couple bits, but I don't know, that kind of thing isn't for me. I like having fun, okay? I like having fun with films, so that's where I kind of go. It's not that I don't like, you know, the odd, like, serious film, you know, like Underground. Well, actually, no, Underground's kind of a comedy as well, in a way. It tackles very serious themes. It's a Yugoslavian film, by the way, about World War II and, like, these people that are stuck in a bunker and, like, they get told that World War II is still going on for, like, ages. That's really good. But then Time of the Gypsies as well, that's really, really amazing. And those are really sad films. I don't know. I'm going to try and answer that in a more succinct way.
Okay.
I like movies that are simple. I like movies where you know how far you are in the film based on the plot. So say you've got a film where you start in room 1 and you've got to get to room 100, for a very basic example. Like The Platform, for instance. When they're at, like, level minus 250, you know you're near the end, you know? It's that kind of thing. Or, like, if you've got a horror film, when there's only 2 people left, you know you're near the end. I don't like films where you can't tell how far you are into it by what's going on. For someone who makes films, I don't watch very many.
Really?
Not really. I rewatch a lot of sitcoms and yeah, stuff like that. I've seen all the Alan Partridge, all The Office, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I don't know much kino. Let's say kino therapy. What? That's cancer.
Did you say kino or chemo?
I said chemotherapy, and then my brain went, no, that's not anything whatsoever.
I'm going to ask you, this might sound controversial.
Hell yeah, I like it.
Well, it might not be, actually. Do you think there is a certain level of sort of like pretentiousness in indie art films or in small crew films? Because of this sort of idealised thing of like, we're doing something that's real art, you know?
Yeah, you get that. I've not experienced it in droves. I have experienced it, but I do think it's overblown. I think, although that being said, someone's probably watching this and thinking, oh God, what a hypocrite. But, you know, it's like, there are certainly people out there that, like, take it so seriously and they make it their whole life, and, like, you know, they act like they're saving the film industry or whatever, and it's like, no, you're not. Just make your product and bugger off, okay? And let people enjoy it. That's it, all right? You know, I think when people get into the whole art thing of it, it's like, shut up. I don't care, really. Like, it's either, is it fun? Is it interesting? Do people like it? Or do they think it's boring and not worth your time? That's it. The same as any other product. People look at a restaurant, do you want to go there? Nah, it doesn't look that good. Same with a film. You're making a product, or doing a service. So yeah, people do get pretentious about it, but I do think it's an overstated issue, and I think that overstatedness is a stereotype that comes from within the Hollywood-esque, Hollywood in quotes, to say basically, you know, I'm going to call it the bourgeoisie of filmmaking, to use a very pretentious term for it. Yeah, it kind of comes from within there. The same sort of way that, you know, like, there's stereotypes about conspiracy theorists that I feel like come from within, like, you know, because it's from the outside criticizing this thing, so you want to try and make their point look stupid and make people look past what they're saying and just judge them on appearances. You know, like we've all heard of the indie artist who has like the turtleneck like this and has those like round sunglasses and has a picture and has like their profile picture in black and white of them with a camera like this. So we've got all that. And yeah, I'd like them all to stop, please, and stop posting your bloody like black and white bloody images on Instagram going whoosh. It's annoying. I feel like this video is going to be a bit longer than a minute and a half.
I think it might be. Hold on, how do I
If you want, we can do like a couple like literally 5-10 second answer type things if you need it to be a minute and a half.
Yeah, okay. Can I get a quick shot of you holding a camera?
Hell yeah.
Hi, honey.
Hey, yo, doggy.
Hello.
Are you dog of the day? That's the question.
I think it just might be dog of the day.
Yeah, close. The other one was a bit better. There was that giant black one that wasn't on camera.
Yeah.
That was dog of the day, I'd say.
I was with a dog on the train today.
Yeah.
But it was one of those like service dogs that you're not allowed to stroke, but
Yeah.
it feels really tempting.
I know what you mean.
So that was a struggle. Do you want to hold your camera or do you want to hold this camera?
Let me just put all this crap in here. Oh, God. I hope there's some use out of these.